Get out your rose-colored glasses or whatever props you need to take a fresh look at your art. This season on Make It Artsy, we invite you to take a fresh look at all aspects of your art with fresh new ingredients, updated techniques, and a renewed commitment to incorporating materials from other disciplines like jewelry into your making. Today, we begin with faux shibori dyeing, and then our tool guy, Joe Rotella, creates unique frames using small strips of wood for a rustic or metallic look. And finally, Tori Wires is back again this season for more artistic inspiration. Every other week, she has a lesson on a new way of looking at an aspect of art through your sketchbook. So today, it's all about words. So look through a new lens for a fresh perspective on Make It Artsy. Julie Faith Ann Balzer, and take a fresh new look or perspective on art today on Make It Artsy. So we are doing some faux shibori dyeing. So what is shibori? Well, it's a tradition of dyeing in Japan that really uses indigo dye, and you can see some samples that I have here. Now, it looks maybe like this fabric is textured or folded, and that's the whole idea of shibori, is basically you're folding and scrunching. Sometimes people even use stitch to adjust the fabric in different ways to give it this texture. Now, this is a really easy and fun technique to do, but it does require actual indigo, which usually requires a big bucket, and sometimes you need to do it outside because of the smell. And if you're like me and you live in an apartment, you might be looking for a way to do it that's a little less, a little lower tech, a little less commitment. So I have a method for you, and I hope that you're gonna like it. So what you basically need is you just need some plain fabric of some kind. I happen to be using PFD, or prepared for dyeing muslin, which just means that it's more ready to take a dye. But honestly, it doesn't really matter, because the faux way that we're doing it, whatever fabric you use will be sure to absorb some of the dye, okay? It doesn't have to be white. It could be a color, it could be a pattern, whatever you want. So the next thing is you have to decide what pattern you want. So let's go ahead and look at some of our finished samples and just talk about how those were created. So you can see that simply by folding into little squares or even on the diagonal, that's how you're getting these first shapes, okay? And if you want something that's a little larger, if you're dyeing like some yardage or something like that, then you can talk about folding into triangles, and you can see how those triangles are in this fabric. This one, you can notice, is two different colors, and that's because even though traditional shibori is done with blue or indigo, you can use other colors of dye if you like. This starburst pattern is created simply by scrunching the fabric up. And here you can see we've overlaid some of those large triangles with the little squares. And this one, we simply folded it accordion style back and forth. So let me show you just how easy this is. I'm gonna take my fabric, and I'm going to begin by accordion folding it. So that means front and back. If you've ever tried to fold like a fancy napkin or anything like that, you've probably have done this. Now, there are a million different ways, and I don't think that's hyperbole or any kind of exaggeration. There are a million ways to fold, to crease, to, do whatever to get it exactly how you want. So just do what feels good to you. So you can see I've accordion folded it. Now, I'm gonna accordion fold it in the other direction. So towards me, and then back, and then here, and then back. Now you can use rubber bands at this point, and that's where some tie-dye comes out of, but the more traditional way, and the way I like to use, is to use thread. So you can use any kind of thread, but I have had better luck with synthetic thread, because I find that the dyes don't come off at all. So you just want a piece of thread. It's also really strong. And then you're gonna go ahead, wrap it around. The fussiest part here is you have to get that first knot. Once you get the first knot, everything else is pretty easy. So I'm just gonna tie a double knot right in here, pull it tight, Boom. And that wasn't hard at all. But what we want to do is we want to super secure our package, because you can actually, the thread can give you some interesting textures too. So I'm just going to keep tying this up. And you want to tie it probably not just in one direction, but you want to tie it in the second direction as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some thread, wrap it around, and really secure this little packet so it's 100% in there. And don't worry about extra threads hanging off or anything like that. That's not a big deal. Then, oops, I broke my thread. So I'm just gonna go ahead and retie it. This is why I always cut my thread a little bit longer, because I've been known to do that before. So here you go.